We've been seeing here and there, people talk about digital censorship, and then we hear about mass surveillance, and then we hear about the targeting of Trump, January 6th, a pro-lifer who's been raided by the police agencies of government and charged under the so-called FASA Act. Moms who are being spied on at school board meetings. So these are all different threads, but behind them is a really big question, and a question that goes to the heart of your experience, Seb, as well as mine. In other words, we know what it's like to grow up in socialist and communist countries. When I came to America at the age of 17, I reflexively thought of Reagan's America as the free world. And then there was the unfree world as represented by North Korea or Soviet Russia. And there was a kind of clear line of separation between us and them because we have basic rights and they don't. And yet today you could hardly mention a single one of our basic rights that is not under siege, that is not being threatened. So I thought, look, we need to sort of ask the big question, which is, are we, at one point we thought that we were going to make China more like us. Are we becoming more like China? And our books like the Gulag Archipelago, which were written to describe a nightmarish network of prison camps in the Soviet Union, one day going to be relevant to us right here in the United States.
Yeah, that's such a perfect way of putting it. The naive, the Kissingers of the world thought, well, we can make China more like us. That communist regime will become more and more, liberal. No, that is not what happened. And in fact, we are becoming more like them. We're talking to the host of the Dinesh D'Souza podcast, my Salem colleague. Follow him at Dinesh D'Souza. The film can be information. It's not out yet. Is at policestatefilm.net. That's policestatefilm.net. Can we keep you over for one more segment, Dinesh?
I can. I just need to be out at the turn of the hour.
Yes, that's perfect. In this segment, one more question for you right now. Is that, look, millions of people are watching and listening right now who have heard my analysis about the FBI, who are well aware of what's happened in the last 2 years especially. Is there anything that surprised even you in the making of this movie? Will there be things that shock even the most informed conservatives and patriots?
Yeah, absolutely. The film is a combination of accounts from people who are embedded in Department of Homeland Security, the Marshal Service. So it isn't just the FBI. When we think, for example, think of something like censorship. The FBI is involved in censorship. So is the State Department. So is the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Agency. So are the health authorities. So is the White House. So this is a giant network that is partly inside the government and partly outside the government. You have independent groups like the Stanford Internet Observatory. Yeah. You've got the media involved in this. So in some ways, even the term deep state is inappropriate because it implies the whole thing is hidden. No, some of it is hidden and some of it is right there out into the open, but in a way that people don't really realize how these people behind the scenes work in coordination.
Dinesh, you said something in the break on our Rumble channel that I want everybody out there who's listening on the radio to understand. You did this for a specific reason because, well, what do you say to those who say, I wasn't there on January the 6th. I'm not a rioter. I live a normal life. I go to church on Sunday. Tell them why this movie is for them as well, Dinesh.
Well, there are two reasons. One is there's one group of people who are unaffected by the police state, and those are the people on the left. They can genuinely say, I'm never going to have the FBI, at least not in today's environment, come to my door. No one's going to censor me on social media. Now, the reason that they are exempt from the police state is they are the ones who are being counted on to build the police state. They are the police state constituency, like the Chavistas, for example, in Venezuela. Now, there are conservatives who are living in denial. And by denial, I mean they feel like, listen, this is not going to happen to me. The weird thing is, if you read the opening section of Solzhenitsyn's Gulag, he's writing about the 40s, 50s, and 60s when the Gulag was fully operational. And he goes right in the cities and the towns. There are tall walls and there are barbed wire fences. The Gulag is right there. It's not just in Siberia. And yet he goes, many people go, you know what? It'll never happen to me. They're not going to come for me. And the first thing that they say when they come for him is going to be, what for? Why am I being arrested? Surely it's some kind of mistake. So he goes, it's not until the prison doors are clanked and locked and you're behind it and you have at that point no recourse at all that you go, gee, I should have paid attention before. So my point is I view this movie as a kind of a warning before things go too far.